Despite India's tough stand to call off Foreign Secretary level meetings with Pakistan, the meeting between Pak High Commissioner Abdul Basit and separatist leaders in the national capital continued for the second day in a row. Hurriyat leader Syed Ali Shah Gilani met envoy Abdul Basit at Pakistan High Commission this afternoon. Other separatist leaders Mirwais Umar Farooq and Yasin Malik are also expected to meet the High Commissioner later today. Yesterday, envoy Abdul Basit met separatist leader Shabbir Shah, leading to India calling off Foreign Secretary level dialogue scheduled for the 25th of August in Islamabad. Huge protests being reported outside the Pakistan High Commission. In fact, Hindu Sena workers gathered outside the High Commission's office in Delhi and started raising slogans against the meeting that is taking place between Hurriyat leaders and the Pakistani High Commissioner. Protesters even tried to stop Gilani from entering the office of the High Commissioner, but security has already been beefed up there and Delhi police has detained some persons. Alright, let's get in a word from Ms. Tasneem Aslam. She's the Foreign Ministry's spokesperson from Pakistan. Thanks so much for speaking to Headlines today, Ms. Aslam. Please take us through developments that are taking place here as far as talks between Hurriyat leaders and the Pakistani envoy are concerned. Pakistan has issued a statement saying that these talks always take place before Indo-Pak dialogue. But if the dialogue itself has been cancelled or called off by India, why is the envoy going ahead with these talks?
Hello?
Yes, Ms. Aslam, can you hear me?
Look, hello? Hello?
Yes, Ms. Aslam, I can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can.
Well, first, I don't know if you've seen the statement that we issued yesterday. First, it has been a long-standing position. It has been happening for decades that whenever Pakistan-India talks take place, Pakistani representatives, Pakistani officials meet Kashmiri leadership because Kashmiri leadership is a stakeholder in the Kashmir dispute. And these meetings are therefore meant to facilitate meaningful discussions after taking their views on board with India.
Ms. Aslam, if India has taken a tough stand and cancelled the secretary level talks altogether, why go ahead with this meeting?
Well, because that is something that we always do. We always speak to the Kashmiris. And
you speak to the Kashmiris before Indo-Pak dialogue, but if India has already cancelled that dialogue or called it off because of this meeting, the meeting between separatist leaders and the envoy is actually meaningless.
If you want to hear me, let me speak. If you disrupt me, I will disconnect.
Please go ahead.
Because if you ask a question, you should have the courage to listen to my response.
Please go ahead.
Please check the record of past many decades. Every time Pakistan and India have met, there have been meetings with Kashmiris to coincide with that prior to those meetings, because Kashmiris are consulted. Kashmiris are, from our point of view and from the point of view of the United Nations Security Council, they are not separatists. They represent people of a disputed territory. Therefore, as a stakeholder, we have always met them, we have always consulted them.
You've already made that point, Ms. Aslam. My point is that if India has already called off the dialogue process because it was upset with the envoy's decision to meet the Hurriyat leaders, how significant is this meeting now, considering that India is not willing to come to the talks table until you call off talks with separatists?
Well, it doesn't mean that if India has called off talks, we have to call off meetings with Kashmiris. These meetings were scheduled, and the High Commissioner is meeting them.
So you're saying that you're willing to give up a dialogue process with India to normalize relations with such an important neighbor for the sake of a few Hurriyat leaders who actually have no support on the ground?
Well, Kashmir is a core dispute between Pakistan and India, and this dispute needs to be resolved. We want peace, but we want peace with a peace that is durable, a peace that leads to resolution of disputes. You can't have peace when you have disputes like Kashmir on the table, disputes like Siachen on the table. Realistically, we have to have peace in this region. Realistically, it's in the interest of both Pakistan and India to have peace. It's not a favor that one country would do to the other, so it can hold a gun to the other's head that we will talk to you on these conditions. That doesn't happen.
Ms. Aslam, how serious is Pakistan about having a bilateral relationship with India?
The Prime Minister, before election, in his party manifesto, talked about having peace in this region, having peace for development in this region. He accepted the invitation of the Indian Prime Minister to attend his inaugural ceremony. They had very good discussions, they had very frank discussions, and they directed the two foreign secretaries to meet. So this meeting was taking place at the directive of the two prime ministers, and to resume the dialogue process between two countries, a dialogue process that will bring about peace in this region, so that we can divert our energies to development, to regional connectivity, to benefit. We have been left behind compared to other regions of the world. So that is our intention, but our desire has to be, there has to be some reciprocity. It cannot be a one-way street.
All right, so Ms. Aslam, you're saying that the Nawaz Sharif government is in favor of these talks being held with separatist leaders at the cost of a dialogue with India?
That's a very silly question, I would say. I don't think it even deserves a response.
Mr. Nawaz Sharif, when he'd come to New Delhi, hadn't met separatist leaders at the request of the NDA government, but now your envoy is holding such talks. I want to know if the envoy has Nawaz Sharif's approval.
The Prime Minister did not meet them because the Prime Minister was there to attend a ceremony, not to hold talks. Although subsequently that opportunity was utilized and the two Prime Ministers did discuss, but it was a visit in a ceremonial context.
Ms. Aslam, I want to know if now that New Delhi has called off the talks, is Pakistan going to make any effort at all to resume the dialogue process, considering that both sides have taken a tough stand? It seems like for now there's going to be no dialogue between the two countries. This is something that Modi had initiated. He'd invited the Prime Minister when he formed the government. He had extended a friendly hand, but Pakistan seems to be turning it down now.
Well, we immediately took that friendly hand, and although a lot of negative things were said, the way that meeting was presented, we did not react. We were very restrained, and we scheduled this meeting, invited the Indian Foreign Secretary to come to Islamabad. If there is no hand of friendship that comes with conditions, there can't be preconditions.
Ms. Aslam, I want to know, what is Pakistan's stand on this meeting? Does Pakistan think that a meeting with Hurriyat leaders is more important than a meeting with a foreign secretary of the Indian government?
Well, again, I would say that's a very silly question.
No, it's about prioritizing, ma'am. You've chosen Hurriyat leaders over the foreign secretary.
Jammu and Kashmir is a priority. That's the core issue between our two countries, and we have to realistically move forward on these issues.
But actually on the ground, I hope you realize that the Hurriyat doesn't really have much support. All right, Ms. Aslam not willing to answer too many uncomfortable questions. She's the spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs in Pakistan. Our Strategic Affairs Editor Gaurav Sawant is with us on the phone line. Gaurav, you heard what Tasneem Aslam had to say. Clearly, the Pakistani government choosing Hurriyat leaders over the NDA government, saying that Kashmir is the top issue as far as India-Pak dialogues is concerned, and there's no way they're willing to compromise on that. How do you see this playing out in the days ahead? It seems that both sides have dug their heels in.
Well, what sources in the government are telling headlines today is that they had made it very clear to Pakistan will have to choose, either talk to separatists or talk to the government of India. And Pakistan's priority, as your conversation with Ms. Aslam very clearly shows, Pakistan has made its choices very clear. As far as government of India is concerned, the doors for talks, from what my sources in government are telling me, they're always open. But for doors of talks, Pakistan has to stop meddling in India's internal affairs. and Pakistan needs to talk to government of India and not separatists in Jammu and Kashmir.
Absolutely.
The fact that Pakistan continues to engage with the separatists goes on to indicate that Pakistan has made its choices very clear. Perhaps, as you rightly pointed out, both sides digging their heels in, and we'll have to wait and watch who blinks first.
Absolutely a disappointing response from Pakistan, considering the fact that Narendra Modi had extended a hand of friendship after he came to power. Gaurav, thanks so much for that update. We'll continue tracking developments.